Hello guys, today is the first ever episode of Hot Topics and Mysteries of the World. Today we'll be talking about vaccines. Have you ever wondered how do you make a vaccine? There's 3 ways to do it. Well, not really 3 ways, there's actually a lot more. But these are the 3 primary ways that we will be focusing on today. One is to inactivate the virus. By inactivating the viruses are basically killed with the chemical. By killing the virus, it cannot reproduce or cause disease. Some of these examples of these types of viruses is polio, hepatitis A, influenza, and rabies. All of those vaccines are made this way. The virus is still seen by the body, so the cell's immune systems are still the things that protect against the disease are generated. These are some benefits to doing it this way. It can't even you can't feel like you have the disease, and that you can give this vaccine to people with weak immune systems. So the problem about this is that you need a bunch of doses to achieve immunity. The second way is to use part of the virus. By using this strategy, one part of the virus is removed and used as a vaccine. One of these examples is hepatitis B. The vaccine is basically made out of a protein that's on the surface of the virus. This way can be used when the immune response is to one of the parts of the virus is basically the weak point for the virus. These vaccines can also be given to people with weak immune systems and also appear to have long-lived immunity after only 2 doses. If you use part of the bacteria, so the way some bacteria cause disease is by making a protein called toxin. Several of these vaccines are made by taking the toxins and killing them with a chemical, and once it's inactivated, it's called a toxoid. By killing the toxin, it basically doesn't cause disease. Some examples of this is the diphtheria, tetanus, and pertussis vaccines. Another strategy is to use the sugar coating of the bacteria. But this isn't really good in young children because the sugar coating doesn't really stimulate their immune system. So these are the 3 ways of doing it, and it's not over yet. I'm also showing you this video that's pretty good.
Human viruses are highly adapted to growing in human cells. These viruses reproduce thousands of times in human cells, gaining access using specific receptors that match molecules on cell surfaces. Like athletes, they get stronger and stronger by continually training under the same conditions. And yet, it's this very strength that makes it possible to weaken the virus. This weakening is the key to making life.
So what you're seeing here is the virus is basically using one part of the protein on its surface, and it tricks your human cell, to think that it's on its team because it can access one of the so-called keys. It lets it go in, as you will see.
Vaccine. How do scientists make this kind of vaccine? By forcing the virus to grow in different kinds of cells in the lab.
Most scientists and people who make vaccines, they use chick embryo cells, as showed in the video. They don't use like cow cells or anything. They mostly use egg cells from chickens.
In these chick embryo cells, most of the virus particles that are so good at growing in humans can't access the chick cells. But with sheer numbers on their side,
like I said, the virus has tricked the chick embryo cell into believing it's a good guy, and it can access the cell. See it going in.
A few virus particles are able to unlock the chick cells, infect them, and begin adapting to this new environment.
Yeah. So, viruses, they can adapt and mutate really quickly. So there's a bunch of different types of mutations, and they really just adapt super fast.
The virus adapts by modifying its genes, but there's a price to pay. As the virus gets better and better at growing in the chick cell, it gets worse and worse at growing in our cell. Now, when reintroduced to the human body as a vaccine, these modified or weakened viruses have a hard time infecting human cells. The virus multiplies less efficiently, giving the immune system the time it needs to gather information about the virus and mount an antibody response.
The antibodies latch onto the proteins on a virus's surface, and basically they immobilize it, so the virus can't move, and then the other parts of your immune system will then clean up the viruses.
The vaccine provides immunity to natural infection without making us pay the price of natural infection.
I hope you've learned a lot about vaccines, but now I will be talking about the coronavirus pandemic. Coronavirus, you can't just call it by itself because they're very common in a lot of animals. But the problem is with some coronaviruses, it's very rare that an animal coronavirus will infect humans because they're not used to infecting human cells because they don't have the key kind. There are different types of coronaviruses. Some of them only cause like the common cold, but some of them can cause severe acute respiratory syndrome or SARS and MERS. Also COVID-19. They're named for their appearance because corona also means crown. When you look at them under the microscope, they look like they are covered in pointed structures that surround them like a crown. So, how does it spread, right? So right now researchers know that when the person coughs or sneezes, the infected droplets go into another person. They don't travel more than a few feet and they fall on the ground in a few seconds.